Welcome, mere mortals, to this week's Star Trek Sunday. I am your host, Stu, from the Q Continuum. How are we all doing? Are we all well? I certainly hope so. What do you think of today's cosplay? It's not perfect yet. I'm still working on it. I kind of rushed it a little bit to get it finished for today, but hopefully you're liking it. Anyway, I need to finish off the hat bit. It's not sitting quite right, but yes, I did make an effort, Paul. Glad to see that you made an effort as well to be here on this fine bank holiday Sunday, where it's a lovely day out there. So it's really nice to see you here with us. Now, no Keira, sadly, this week. Unfortunately, Keira is also making the most of the bank holiday weekend. She has some friends she's seeing in London. I just need to adjust that slightly. There we go. Yeah, she has some friends she's seeing in London, so unfortunately she can't be with us this week. But rest assured, because Keira will be back next time, I'm sure. And on today's episode then, we have a review of the next generation. Well, I say we, mon capitan. Hello Ed, lovely to see you. Yeah, we are going to, I keep saying we, yeah, we, because you're going to help me, basically, all of you. So we, you and I, are going to look at the next generation episode Tapestry. We're going to be doing a deep dive into the Q Continuum, of course. We'll be paying a visit to the Divine Treasury. Very exciting. We have a brand new segment to share with you. I am really excited for that, and I hope you are too, even though you don't even know what it is. But I hope you're excited anyway, because you should be, because it is exciting. And of course, I will be bringing you the latest news from the Trekverse. But let's dive straight in with Next Generation and the episode Tapestry. Now, this was the 15th episode of the 6th season of the Next Generation, so by this time it had really found its feet. We knew the characters intimately well, and what a fantastic episode it is. It was first aired on the 15th of February 1993, and when Captain Picard's artificial heart fails, Q offers him the rare opportunity to go back in time and set right the mistake that led to his demise. Now, I absolutely adore episodes that kind of have these morality themed running through them, like this one. So and also, I mean, so last week, of course, we were talking about the mirror universe, and we were saying about, you know, how exciting a concept that, you know, somewhere there's a universe out there where another life is played out, basically that didn't make the mistakes that we made. And in its own way, this is exactly what Tapestry does for us. Is it gives us a look at the life that Picard would have lived had he not been the man he was. You know, even told you this hat's not sitting right. I might have to lose the hat, but we'll see. I'll try again. There we go. Yeah, had Picard not have been the roguish, devil-may-care, laddish man that he was, what kind of life would he have lived as a result? It is Q. Hello, Jaunty Goblin. Lovely to see you. It is I, Stu, from the Q Continuum. Yeah, so great to see you along. I may end up losing the hat, I've got to say, because the hat's not, well, in fact, the whole outfit's not really finished yet. I'm quite pleased with the medallion. sort of made that myself. But yeah, the judicial robes are not the judicial robes that I'm going to be ending up with, because they're not longer. In fact, this, I'll let you into a secret. These are the top from my satin pajamas. Because it only comes down halfway, but I do have some bright red satin material coming that I'm going to turn into full robes. Thank you very much, Jaunty Goblin. That's lovely to hear. I'm rather enjoying it myself, and the blue lipstick as well. I've even got blue lipstick, hence having a straw for my drink today. The glasses and the beard don't go so well with this outfit, but we'll see. Yeah, I expect I will be quite warm, Paul, but we'll see. We will see. I originally was just gonna like whack on some blue lipstick and put in my Next Generation captain's top, but I thought, nah, you're all worth so much more effort. So here we are. So Tapestry, for me, it's a standout episode of the Next Generation. It is absolutely one of my favorite. Most of the Q episodes are up there as part of my favourites anyway. We do love a bit of Q, but yeah, the Tapestry in particular, like I say, it gives us the opportunity to see who Picard would have been, and it turns out he's a dreary, boring junior grade lieutenant, or a lieutenant, because it's American. Yeah, man of no passion, no vim, no vigour. But yeah, and of course Q just undoes it all with a wave of his hand, a snap of his fingers afterwards. So I mean, I'm guessing this is an episode that most of you will have seen at some point. What do you think of the episode? Is it one of your favourites? Did they miss a beat with it? It could have been very, very different, and it could have they could have got it wrong very easily, I think. But for me, it just absolutely hits everything on the nail. So, and one question I'd like to ask you as the viewers, what you think. Should they have given the role of young Picard to the actor who portrayed young Picard? Should it not have been Patrick Stewart? Because that's something I sort of wonder about with the episode. You know, it's kind of almost a missed chance to... I mean, I'm biased, so I'm all about giving actors opportunities when they're not that famous, for obvious selfish reasons. But yes. Oh yes, that is a brilliant scene. Yeah, when he's talking to Riker and Troy. It's like, and Riker's like looking for positive things. And it's, you're punctual. Excuse me. Yeah, that's a great scene. So to give you a little bit of trivia about this episode, at one point, now the captain is mentioned as being Captain Thomas Holloway, but at one point in the development of this episode, the Enterprise captain was going to have been Edward Jellicoe. I think it could have been. You don't have to be heroic, but you can be very punctual. Yes. As long as you're punctual and you keep your nose to the grindstone, then you end up, you know, with a bad back and a flat nose. But yeah, so yeah, I think it would have been a nice callback to have mentioned Edward Jellicoe as the captain, but perhaps they felt that was a bit too kind of on the nose, as it were. Now the early and ending sequences of seeing Q interacting with Picard in the afterlife, or you know, was it the afterlife? Was it not the afterlife? We don't know. But that did create them some technical issues, especially with John Delancey in a white robe on a white background, and The director of photography, Jonathan West, and producer, Mary Howard, were concerned that Q would appear simply as a floating head. Now, I've done a similar thing where I was dressed in black against a black background, and yeah, I just ended up just looking like a floating head because they got the exposure wrong in that shoot, so I know how easily that can happen. Both actors were aware of the difficulties in that shot, and Delancey felt it made his performance much more subdued than normal. And in fact, when you watch it kind of with that in mind, he's much more restrained, his movements are much subtler than what you normally get from Q. But Moore, however, noted that this low-key result was perfect for this more serious than usual Q episode, and indeed it does lend itself a bit of gravitas as a result. The cityscape from Martyr's Quarters, visible at the end of Act 3, when Picard has done the deed with his friend, was actually used. It was reused cityscape from the City of Domes, created for Logan's Run, the 1976 movie. So there you go, there's a connection with... I love Logan's Run, that's one of my favourite movies. So it's nice to have a little connection in there with that. So when you rewatch the episode, look for that. Look out Martyr's window instead of seeing Picard in the buff in bed with Q. So this episode was originally supposed to be a take on Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol. The production staff changed the idea instead to focus on one single moment of Picard's life that would have significance, that is his near death by stabbing, and they wanted to explore reasons why Picard changed from a young, womanizing hard drinker to the man we come to know today. But yeah, it was originally going to be a series of events. I'm going to theorize. Now this is pure speculation. I have no information about the upcoming series of Picard. We know that Q is involved. We know that time travel is involved. I think that might be what they're doing, is creating basically a Christmas Carol and revisiting points in his life that were significant to him. That's going to be my prediction currently for Picard season 2. Yes, but well, I suppose it does lend a different perspective to people just watching it. It's not that we can't, as actors, I can still, as an actor, I can still suspend my disbelief when I'm watching the episode, but I can also see, a kind of a different angle. For example, it stands out to me that LeVar Burton doesn't appear in this episode, but instead we hear him as a voiceover at one point, but that's it. We don't see him at all. We barely see Worf and Data, which is quite unusual. I mean, especially for a Q episode. It's all about the Picard. Yes, now, if the dialogue between Q and Picard are assumed to be accurate, which is fair to do, then Captain Picard is 51 years old in season 6, because it is stated that they go back 30 years to when Picard was a 21-year-old ensign fresh out of the academy. I mean, you might say 30 years when it's 29 or 31, so we've got a little bit of leeway there. But 51-year-old Picard in season 6, which, as I understand it, we're still making quite young for a captain of a flagship. Doing quite well. And if you're thinking, oh, but he is much older than that. He looks much older than that. He was actually 52 at the time of shooting this episode. So there you go. So don't judge baldness as a sign of age. That's my takeaway on that. But yeah, it's a lovely, lovely episode. Sorry about the weird things happening. I've got a backdrop on today, and it's I've not lit it properly. Basically ran out of time. Yes, Ed, definitely not. Absolutely. There we go. Just adjust my judicial hat. So, to go into a bit of a deep dive on the Q Continuum themselves then. Now, the Q Continuum are an extra dimension... Well, the Q Continuum itself is an extra dimensional plane of existence inhabited by a race of beings known as the Q. But the term, the Q Continuum, could also refer to the Q Society itself. It appeared not to age for... Yes, Ed is only 33. Yes, but he and other people we know as well, of course. Yeah, I've known few people actually who've been bald since like being the age of 20 onwards. Yeah, it's not uncommon. He appeared not to age for a good 20 years after. Yeah, I mean, you can hear it in his voice now when he speaks, when you watch Picard, and especially when you see him doing interviews about Picard. He's really starting to sort of get that gravelly sort of, you know, like he's straining to speak. That thing that comes with age. Yes, hard paper, and then we're going to run a milk float. Yes, I expect that half the listeners you'd have to explain what a milk float was. Yeah, my renditions of Ernie driving the fastest milk cart in the West get strange looks these days. But there we go. Now, back to the Q themselves. As a race, we know that they are immortal, but not completely omniscient or omnipotent. Gosh. Struggling with my words. Omniimpotent. Yes. Not completely omniscient or omnipotent, at least according to the Q that we come to know as Quinn from Voyager. We do know that they possess the ability to alter, create or destroy virtually any form of matter or energy, and to affect time in essentially any way they chose. Their apparent abilities included moving entire asteroid belts and stars, creating alternate timelines, and affecting universal states of nature such as the gravitational constant. And indeed, yes, it's easy for me to say. Hey, Paul. So, when the Delancey Q is discussing the dangers of allowing Amanda Rogers to develop her abilities without supervision, he offhandedly remarks that she'd be capable of destroying the entire Milky Way galaxy by accident. So, assuming that he's telling the truth, which no reason to disbelieve him at that point. Very, very, very powerful. In fact, the only times that we've ever seen a Q as either being unable to do something or being limited is during a period when their powers have either been reduced or revoked by the Continuum themselves. Now, in terms of origins, the Q claim, and we've only got their own personal claims on this. We've no facts to back it up. But they claim that they've always existed, and that their origins, if indeed they had any, are unknown. I mean, that's kind of a way of claiming to be God, really, isn't it? You know, like, yes, well, I predate the universe, don't you know? Yes, well, I was saying before, I remember when you were just... I remember the Big Bang, and yeah. So, it's a bit of a hard... And in fact, the episode Tapestry, you know, Q does say he is God. And, you know, all right, Picard sort of scoffs at it, and the universe is not so badly organised, but we don't know that that's not the case. It may be that on this occasion he was telling the truth. We just don't know. But one thing we do know about Picard and his relationship with the Q is that by 2399, so this is the Picard era, Cristobal Rios and one of his ship's holograms were aware of the Q, and the hologram described Jean-Luc Picard as the chief contact with the Continuum. It's kind of almost a throwaway line, which is quite interesting. But if you want to check that out, check out the episode "The End is the Beginning" in Picard. That's where it's said. He did say the trial never ends, and yeah, of course that's been a bit of a thing in the upcoming. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust myself. There we go. It's hard to do because I'm mirrored on screen. If I raise my right hand, it's my left, or the one on my left that goes. It's, yeah, weird. Yeah, so if it looks like I'm fiddling and like doing weird things, that's why I'm trying to adjust myself. So there have been, as much as all Qs are Q, and that's it, there have been a number of individual Qs that we have identified over time. We've met certainly a lot of Qs, particularly in Voyager when they go to the Q Continuum twice. We see a number of different Qs, but in particular, of course, we have the one, the only, the Delancey version. We have Q, damn it, yeah, which we know as Q. There is also, though, Q Junior, who was Q's son. Again, Voyager for that one. There is the female Q, who was Q Junior's mother and partner of Q, just known as the female Q. But I did like Janeway's reference to her as Miss Q, which, for anyone who's played as much pool or snooker as I have, that caused something of a giggle. There is, of course, Quinn, the one came to be known as Quinn, who was one of the Q who lost his powers by choice because he wanted to commit suicide. I mean, that's a real interesting sort of moral set of episodes there. Death Wish, Voyager Death Wish, I believe, yes. Absolutely, yeah, brilliant. You have Amanda Rogers, which is not typically a Q name, but of course in the Next Generation, well, Amanda, we talk about sort of Q Junior and like, oh look, 2Q having a child, oh how strange, but in fact Amanda Rogers was the product of 2Qs who gave up their Q existence to live a mortal life and had a child, and she was the child from that. There was also Q2, or at least Q2 is how he was referred to in the script. Now this is the episode where Q lost his powers, had them stripped from him by the Continuum, and yeah, he's the Q who sort of intervenes and comes and visits him and then ultimately gives him his powers back, played by Corbin Burnson, who was very famously at the time, not so much now probably, L.A. Law. He was big actor. Hey Captain Quinn, lovely to see you. It's Q, Captain Q. Yeah, so yeah, so Corbin Burnson, I mean, he was a really big name at the time. And interestingly, he was uncredited in that episode. So I'm not entirely sure why. As I say, there have been we've seen quite a number of other Q entities beyond that. But one I'm going to mention, people tend to forget, is of course Riker. So in the episode Hide and Q, I think it was Hide and Q, of course Riker is given the power of Q, which presumably makes him a Q. So the big question, and you know, I spent a little bit of time on Reddit in preparation for this episode to see if I could find a consensus of an answer. There's nothing canonically about an answer one way or the other with this. But so I thought I'd see what the general fandom consensus is as to whether or not Riker still has the powers. Absolutely, Captain Quinn. Did he take his powers away? And it seems fandom's pretty split on this. Some people are saying no, he's gone through his entire life resisting that temptation every single day, which is a hell of a thing to do. Others point at the dialogue. It's like, yes, well, you refused my gift, didn't you? So there's an implication there that indeed he does not have the powers. I personally, I don't think he's got the powers still. I think that would be too much for one person to actually be able to resist reasonably. But canonically, the jury is out. What do you all think? Does he still have the powers? Does he not? I'd be interested to hear. Jump in the chat and let us know. Or you can always jump in Disco if you're watching this at a later time. If you're watching the recorded version of this, then you can always jump in the Discord and join in the conversation there. We all like to have a good conflab in there. Links are below. Now it is time in this episode for us to make a visit to the Divine Treasury. So I'm just moving my keyboard out of the way because my keyboard was right in the Divine Treasury thing. So I'm going a little bit different this week. Rather than it being an Eagle Moss model, as is my normal way of doing things, I thought I'd share with you something from my collection that's a little bit different. These are actually quite it's not worth a great deal of money because there are a lot of these out there. They manufactured like a massive amount and flooded the market with them, and they were $2 a penny as a result. But I'm still quite proud of it nonetheless. So it's got obviously emblazoned classic Star Trek, and you think, oh, it's a tricorder. And indeed, it's got the latch, and you open it up, and oh look, yes, it's a tricorder, and indeed this sort of comes up as well. But inside, it's actually a VHS tape. What this is, this set was released in 1996. On the VHS tape is the episode The Trouble with Tribbles and City on the Edge of Forever. I think they just simply picked out 2 episodes that they knew were very, very popular. It also has a special William Shatner's Star Trek Memories on it as well. Total runtime is 162 minutes. So from that we can say 90 minutes for the 2 episodes, so that's just over an hour and a quarter nearly, for the William Shatner special. It also contains a special collector's 12-page booklet as well. Now you might notice I have kept it all set, so I've never looked inside the booklet. Now I did say they are $2 a penny. I ought to get another one so I can open it up and actually have a look, but I don't even have a VHS player anymore, so I'm not that tempted. I've also never seen the William Shatner Star Trek Memories. Presumably that's got to be on YouTube by now. I ought to have a look after the show. Yeah, so it's nice. It's quite solid plastic. These are just stickers that are peeling off because they do over time, unfortunately. But it's a nice. When I first got it, I thought, oh, that'd be handy for cosplay. But to be honest, I don't think I would even attempt to use this as cosplay these days. It's got a sticker on the back where it's got all the pertinent information. CIC, that's who they used to do the videos. C, and PG. It's a PG. It's not a U. Oh, you have seen Shatner's Memories on YouTube. Fantastic, Captain Quinn. I will go and have a look at that. I'm not a particular fan of the Shat, but especially his sort of personal opinions on things. But there we go. But it's just another item from my collection. It sits on the shelf with the old DVDs. It sits just in front of them in a kind of display manner. Yeah. I know who has Q's Judge's outfit from the show. Oh, I'm guessing Delancey. Delancey would have the Judge's outfit. I mean, he's not the only Q that we've seen as a judge. Of course, we have seen. I know there was a group of them at one point, wasn't there? Somebody stole it. Oh no, I don't know anything about this. Please, Captain Quinn, do share all the details on that. We want to hear about this. Somebody stole Q's Judge's outfit. That is shocking. That is shocking. It does happen. Oh, he just walked out. Fair play. Fair play. Yeah, when it's the actors, when it's the actors and it's an outfit, I think is it still, because it's like, it's never going to be used for anyone else. I mean, they're sized so kind of specifically and perfectly. Yeah, is it stealing? I wonder. But there we go. Anyway, that's my Tricorder VHS, and that's this week's Divine Treasury. Now, I have. Very good. I wore it to dinner. Oh, fantastic. The trial never ends. Absolutely brilliant. So, I have some really, really exciting news for you all. Now, I mentioned right at the beginning that Keira's not here this week, which is, you know, it's unfortunate. I mean, life happens. You know, we all have a life outside of this, and it just happened to clash this week. But I am very pleased to tell you that we have Keira joining us this week, because we have a very, very special new segment. I'm not going to give any more announcement. We're just going to go straight over to it. Here we go. Here's Keira.
Hello and welcome to our new segment for Star Trek Sundays, which is makeup tutorials with me, Keira C. Georgeson. And today I'm going to be showing you how to do a Bajoran nose. So I'm going to go right ahead and put on my base, which I just use. I use a colour corrector because I get quite red skin here. So I'm going to use the green colour corrector to take down the red tones. Then I'm going to use a primer on my face just to make sure that everything stays on. And then I'm going to use this foundation from The Ordinary. You can use whatever you want. Use stuff from Primark, Boots, whatever you fancy. So I'm going to go right ahead and get that on for you now. So this is just with the colour corrector, the primer and foundation on. And you can skip all of those steps if you wouldn't normally wear foundation or anything like that, but I am going to add a little bit of like a contour over the top of this because I feel like it helps define my nose, because I've got quite a like round flat nose, and Bajorans tend to have quite a defined nose. They have like a central ridge as well as the ridges that go outwards. So I like to define my nose a bit better, which I will use an angled brush like this, and I use this contour palette from NYX, but you can get cheaper versions if you don't. I think this one's like £22, but absolutely go for a cheaper one if you will only be using it for cosplay, because you don't need like expensive stuff for cosplay. So I just use one of the brown shades. I usually go for this one because it's lighter and less prominent, because you don't need massive amounts on your nose. And I just go down the side like this. And I do the same on my cheeks, just to define my cheeks. Obviously, if you're not wearing foundation, don't bother. But if you want it to be like highly defined cheekbones or anything like that, you can do that. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. And go around the top as well. Lots of people forget this step because they wouldn't think about like defining their forehead, but actually if you were to like go out and get a tan, it would be tanned around the top of your forehead. So it's just like where the natural contour would be, where if you go in the sun. I tend to mix these two together because I've got like, some of my skin's pinkish and some of it's yellowish. So I mix the pink and the yellow, because that's just what my skin is like, but it's up to you, whatever you want to use. There we go, so contour done. Just blend it in a bit. And then for the actual nose ridges, I tend to use my eyebrow pomade, or pomade, however you want to say it. I've got this one by Revolution. This is a really inexpensive version of it. You can get one by Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is like around £20, and I think that's too extortionate when you can get this one which does the same job and it's cheaper. So yeah, it depends what you've got. Like, some people use eyeliner for this, but I don't like to use black because I feel like people don't actually have black lines on their face, so I try to make it look natural. As natural as possible when you're becoming a Bajoran, but you know. So I use a flat brush like this, with a very sort of straight edge, and I'll dip this in like that. And I tend to start with the central line in there, and then bring it downwards towards my eyes. It looks alright. And then you just follow these same lines going down the nose. And I've realised that not all Bajorans will have the same number. A lot of the time they have a different shape. I guess that their nose ridges have as much variety as like Klingon forehead ridges, or, you know, like human eyes or nose shape or whatever. You know, we all have subtle differences in our appearance. Nobody ever looks exactly the same. And I tend to do like maybe 4 or 5 of these. I'll just do 4 today. They really don't have to be perfect because they're going to get blended anyway. If I'm doing it like for camera, sometimes I might just leave it like that because you don't need all the shading and stuff. If I'm making TikToks, I tend to make it a little bit more pronounced because you can see the definition better on TikTok as opposed to like a camera like this. So for highlights, I will use a very thin brush, like this one. It's got a kind of pointed end, and I'll use concealer. I tend to buy a concealer that's paler than my skin tone anyway, because that helps cover up more, which is what you want from a concealer. So this is from Revolution, which you can buy in Superdrug, and this is C2, which is one of the palest colours. I forgot to do my under eyes earlier, so I'll do that now. Woohoo! And my birthmark. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And then I tend to just use the very tip of this one. And I'll get like a tiny, tiny, tiny amount on the very tip of that brush. And then where the ridge of, like the edge of the ridge would be, I draw a little line. I do that for each one. So you just go all the way down. So I've done concealer on the top of every ridge now, and I'll get the same small brush I used to do that, and I'll blend it in a bit better. And now that those are a bit more blended in, like it looks a bit more natural as it can, I would go back in with the stiffer brush with a darker powder from the same contour palette, and just sort of define where the underneath of the ridge would be. So you're creating the shadow, essentially, that would be created by the ridge on the skin. So just the straight flat brush. And that's about it. Like, I feel like some people go overboard with black and trying to make it look super dark, and I don't feel like that's necessary. Like, obviously if you know Trek and you saw someone with this nose, you know what that is, and making it really dark sometimes destroys the illusion that it's there. So it's up to you. If you want to use black, but I personally wouldn't. So there you go, that's the my Bajoran nose for today, and I am going to put on my new Major Keira cosplay so you can see. So let me just quickly change into that. There you go. Ooh. Hairspray. Bajoran nose, a new Bajoran earring, which I bought online for £1.50 from Shine, oh my god, and a thrifted like a bolero cardigan with a turtleneck. That's my Keira costume. So there you go, Bajoran nose tutorial. I hope that helps. I hope you enjoyed it, and let us know in the comments, in the chat, on Twitter, wherever, what else you'd like me to show you how to do. I've already got lined up for you how to do Balana's Klingon cranial ridges, and one day when I have a lot more time, I'll do Seska's Cardassian like exoskeleton, I guess it is. But yeah, so those two are in the pipeline, but if there's anything else yeah, please let me know and I'll do it for you. Bye!
And there we are. So thank you so much to Keira for doing that for us. Really informative, and I think we are incredibly lucky because, I mean, Keira is taking TikTok by storm at the moment with her cosplays and her makeup, so for her to take the time to share with us and to give so freely, to allow us to duplicate what she's doing, I think we are very lucky to have her. So thank you for that, Keira. And as she said, if there's anything in particular you would like to see Keira doing, then do, you know, jump on the Discord and fire it away. That would be absolutely brilliant. And Captain Quinn, that's brilliant. So I mean, you've probably picked up, you know, I'm a professional actor myself, so yeah, always happy to meet fellow actors. Yeah. Brilliant. You'll have to share in the Discord some of the stuff you've done. That would be absolutely brilliant. And yeah, Ed, I can guess your request straight away. I'm going to say to you, put it in the Discord rather than the chat, because then Keira is certain to see it. You did see her here first, absolutely. I've had the pleasure of working with Keira professionally. In fact, do you know what? I'm going to put a link in the Discord after this to the thing that Keira and I, IMDb. Yeah, go for it. Absolutely fantastic. But I don't use IMDb Pro myself. So I don't know if you're in the US, Captain Quinn, or in the UK. But in the US, I know IMDb Pro is like used really heavily. Not so much here in the UK. We tend to use Spotlight more. So yeah. Oh, Newcastle Lake. Oh, that's canny. Well, I actually grew up in Washington. Aye. So there you go. In fact, I went to Sunderland University twice. Aye, I liked it that much. I'll stop now. That's an appalling accent for anyone who's actually from there. Passable for anyone from Cornwall. But yes, oh, fantastic! Yeah, we'll have a good chat about that in the Discord. The Star Trek Sunday is probably not the place, but yeah. There we go. So more of that to come from Keira, and like I say, hopefully Keira will be back with us next week. Now we're rattling through this week's show, and probably like a little bit shorter. No, never try a Geordie accent. Aye, D-Mac 'em instead. Gone to loose and all that. I'll stop now, I promise. Even my background's destroying itself at my attempts. So yeah, so it's probably a bit of a shorter episode because of Keira not being here, but nevertheless, we do of course have the very latest Star Trek news. Now there's actually not much news this week, I'm afraid to say, but we do have two pieces for you. The first one is regarding Star Trek Online, which I know quite a few people play. Mary Chieffo is going to return as L'Rell in the latest update, House United. Yeah, maybe in a future episode. Absolutely, that would be fantastic, Captain Quinn. I don't have the sound set up for that. Excuse me. It takes a bit of doing with the OBS. Is it Colmeany's birthday? Well, happy birthday to Chief O'Brien. Wow, fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. Colmeany's birthday. That's one bit of news I didn't have, so thank you. That's 3 bits of news you get in there. One from Captain Quinn. Thank you for that. So yes, so L'Rell is going to be in this latest update, House United, which wraps up the year-long Klingon event that they've been running, and it's quite an exciting one. Now, the only other bit of news I have for you this week, I have to say, this is a pretty major spoiler for Picard Season 2. So if you don't want the spoiler, stick your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la, because John Delancey, Q himself, we know that he's going to be back as Q in Season 2 of Picard. He's been dropping a lot of hints and a lot of spoilers through his cameos that he does. Like, so these are things that actors do when they're famous. You know, it's like you basically pay, I don't know, £100 and they'll drop you like a 5-minute video message. You know, it's things that you might send to someone for their birthday or what have you. They're really nice. Well, John Delancey, he does a lot of these, and he's been dropping quite a number of spoilers. He's dropped a big one very recently. Here's the spoiler. He said that he has a scene with Data. So, of course, we know that Data has passed away in Picard, and it's really interesting. He should be saying that he's not saying he's got a scene with Brent Spiner, because, you know, I mean, Dr. Sung, all right, you know, he's still around, but no, he specifically said with Data. So yes, Captain Quinn, I think you have hit the nail on the head with that. We know that time travel is going to play a fundamental part of Season 2 Picard. So I think, yeah, this is, it's coming back to what I was saying earlier. You know, I think we're going to see Picard hitting these significant moments in his life. Yes, we saw the photo from the bus scene. Absolutely. So yeah, I think we're going to see him hitting these significant moments, and of course there's going to be some significant moment with Data. Now, if it's a younger Data, I don't know how they'll do that. They might do it CGI. Personally, I mean, seeing sort of an older Brent Spiner made up as Data, that was a I mean, it was nice. It was a lovely scene, but I don't know. I part of me wishes they'd done it CGI. If I'm completely honest. Oh, that bus scene's not from Picard's life. Well, we don't know. It might be. When we say a significant moment for his life, it might be, I don't know, where his parents met or something like that. It does seem to be quite a lot earlier than Picard, though. So certainly Picard's life, it seems to be not that far into the future from where we are now. So maybe it's a Zefram Cochrane thing. It's really hard to say. When you see a shot like that out of context, it can be interesting. Did not tell the writer of Measure of a Man, and she's not happy. Yes. Well, yeah. I wasn't aware of that. I'll have to look that up. But there we go. That's the only 2 bits of news, and of course with Captain Quinn's news that it's Colmeany's birthday. Bigora, and so on. Yes, very happy birthday to the chief himself. So it's her intellectual work. Measure of a Man is yeah, it's a tricky one. Because when it's an adaptation, but yeah, it's a good point, and it needs looking at very carefully, and I'm certain the lawyers will have looked at it very carefully. I'm certain. So that's it from the Q Continuum this week. I will indeed have a good look at the Discord afterwards. Thank you, Captain Quinn. And yes, and everyone else should jump on over to the Discord. Link is below. And of course, you should join us next time as well, when we will be reviewing a Deep Space Nine episode, Blood Oath. The deep dive will be a Starship special, and we will be doing a deep dive on the original Enterprise. Now, when I say original Enterprise, I don't mean the sailing ship, I don't mean the aircraft carrier or the space shuttle or an X-01. I actually mean Kirk's Enterprise. Yeah, so original Enterprise, the original series Enterprise. There you go. Yes, the original Enterprise Kirk's. We will be getting more from the Divine Treasury, so don't miss that. And hopefully we might get a bit more Keira's cosplay as well. And of course, we will be bringing you the very latest news from the Trekverse. But before we all go, there is one last bit of information. So some of you watch along with the Star Trek Adventures stream that we do every fortnight. We are hoping, we're just waiting for confirmation from one more person who thinks they can make it, but they just need to be certain. As soon as we got that confirmation, we should actually be going ahead this week on Wednesday night, in total contradiction to what I said last time, which was that we'll be taking a week off. No, it looks like there will be an episode this Wednesday. We need absolute confirmation of that before I can commit to it, but keep your eyes on the Discord for updates on that. Two Federation Starfleet laws that contradict each other. Star Trek contradicting itself? That never happens. I'm interested to hear what those are, Captain Quinn. But sadly, we have run out of time for today, so you'll have to tell us all in the Discord. I keep plugging that Discord because it is good fun. So, I will see you on the Discord. Let's call it Starbase Star Trek, or no, Starbase Sunday. I don't know. We'll think about a name for it. God, my background is going absolutely mental. I don't know why, but there we go. Anyway, I will see you all in the Discord. In the meantime, peace and long life, and live long and prosper. Take care.